Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chella and this is Chella Reads a Bit. So, sorry this is again late. I know it's the end of January, about to be February, and I'm now getting to these 2022 videos, but you know, I still wanted to get them out anyways, because I enjoy watching them, and I wanted to make it. Anyways, sorry that they're late. Today, as you can see, I'm going to be bringing you my worst books of 2022, disappointing books of 2022, and my DNFs of 2022. I don't think I have enough to make their own separate video. I'm just going to put them all here. I hope you don't mind. I have a good amount of worst books slash disappointing books, a few DNFs as well. Not all the DNFs are going to be kind of like never going to read again. They just didn't work out at that time, but they're on the list. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my handy dandy bullet journal that has my lists in them, so hope you don't mind. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do enjoy my videos, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. I would love to have you here. It really makes my day, and let's just get into it. Let's start with the worst slash disappointing books. I feel like I'll know if they're I'll let you know if they're the disappointing or the worst. I don't really have them in any particular order, just the order in which I read them, and that's how I listed them. So I'll let you know which is the worst and which is disappointing. But let's just jump into it. The first book that I have on the list is worst and disappointing, I guess, at the same time. It is Dead Ever After, which was the last book in the Sookie Stackhouse series by Charlaine Harris. The end of 2021, I was going through all of those books, and then I think the beginning of 2022 is when I finished the series, and that is the last one. And Hewwooo, I was disappointed, and I did not like it. I did not like the direction it went. I don't like what happened with the relationships. I think that it was very rushed, even though you could see this relationship coming from a mile away, but it just like happened like this out of nowhere. It just was annoying. It just didn't serve any good purpose. I just don't understand why these events needed to happen. I did enjoy it. Sookie has always been annoying, but it just was pointless. Like, I didn't like how it all wrapped up. It was not good. Like, obviously the books weren't the best. Like, they were mostly 3-star books anyways, but this one I think was the most disappointing in the whole series. Like, it just didn't wrap up nicely at all. It just wrapped up. I didn't like it. I don't want to go too much into it because it is the last in the series, and I really don't feel like explaining what the series is about. If you've watched True Blood, you kind of get the gist. That's pretty much it. There's obviously big deviations between the two, but it's just about Sookie, who's a telepath, who you know that because she reminds you every 5 fucking seconds that's what she is. It's just pointless. It's just vampires and all these other mythical creatures that she didn't know existed exist. It is what it is. It just was so disappointing. Even though the series wasn't the best, and you would think that the bar is pretty low anyways, but it still somehow managed to go below that. So, it was a good time going through the series, for the most part, but that book kind of was just dumb to me. Didn't enjoy it. I don't recommend it, but that is the first one, Dead Ever After by Charlaine Harris, the last book in the Sookie Stackhouse series. I gave it 2 stars, by the way. It probably deserves 1 star, but I was being generous, so it got 2 stars. Next is sad to me. I wanted to try to go through my Fairy Loot backlist YA Fairy Loot books that I had gotten in order that I got them, and the first one I had ever gotten was The Shadows Between Us by, I forget who it's by, I kind of really don't care. Trisha Levenseller, I think. But The Shadows Between Us. I hated this book. I hated it with my whole being. I was not having a good time reading it. I did not like the main character. I did not understand the motivation of the whole book. I didn't believe the romance at all. I also thought it was kind of weird. She literally wanted to kill him, and then that's all fine and dandy. It was so not good. In my opinion, like, good on you if you liked it. I am happy for you, because I'm glad people enjoy this book, but I did not like it. I didn't like the main character. I think things were too forced, too in your face, like, too on the nose, like, trying to make her quirky and, like, a bad bitch while not actually being one. Like, you're just telling me that for the sake of that's what you want the character to be like, but being snarky and bitchy don't make you a bad bitch. Whatever. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like what was happening. I didn't agree with it. I mean, her motivation was so stupid and so, like, I understand, like, this is just, like, the character, but it was just, like, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe any of it. And then it's, like, the change in tone with how she was falling for him. I didn't know how you could possibly end up in a relationship with someone who wanted to kill you. Whether you can, like, look past that part or not, like, it's just weird. I didn't like it. And sorry if I'm not going too much into what these books are about. I only have a vague memory of them, and I kind of don't really have it in me to talk about what it's about, because I just don't really care. It wasn't good. It was 2 stars, maybe probably a 1 at this point, but I just didn't like it. It was so pointless. I just got annoyed most of the time by what was happening, what the character was talking about, it just, I didn't like it. The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller, I think. 2 stars, didn't enjoy it. Very not good. And I was sad because it was my first fairy loot. That was the disappointing part. And of course, the next one is also another fairy loot book. It was the second one that I was reading in order. It was the second book I'd ever gotten in the YA box, which I don't get the YA box anymore, so I get the adult only. But the second book was The Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy, I think, and I hated it. I didn't like it. I skimmed the last bit because I started out the book enjoying one of the perspectives, but not the other one. Like, the main character she's supposed to be about to kill someone, like a man. I think that's, like, what these bone criers do. I forget it exactly. This is why I can't give you the synopsis of these books. But she was so fucking annoying and just, oh my god. I just couldn't with her. So I enjoyed the other main character, but then at some point I didn't enjoy either of their perspectives. I didn't like the male perspective because their motivations were just so dumb. Like, because the main character's mom, I think, or one, the male character's mom or dad was killed by a bone crier, so he wants to kill the bone criers, like, kill one, and, like, the people he has with him, the chick, she was so annoying, and, like, their reasoning for doing certain things, I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but you're being kind of stupid at the same time. Like, you're not justified. You're kind of contradicting yourself. You're a hypocrite. So I'm like, I don't like any of you. And then the romance was kind of weird and annoying. And then the character, I don't remember their names, that I was enjoying, she ends up doing a shift at some point, and then at the end of the book was just so unsatisfying, and, like, I'm like, I don't really even care about the next one. I don't care what's gonna happen. So I just didn't enjoy it. I think it didn't hold my attention, or it didn't have anything that made me want to read it. It just had things that were just annoying. and pointless. The not communicating the need for revenge, like the motivation for the revenge, was very limp. It was very flat. It was just didn't have any substance to it. I didn't believe in the revenge, or I didn't feel bad in any case for these people, because they just, it was just a woe is me. I'm the only one who has it bad, so I can do whatever the fuck I want to whoever I want, because, you know, this is me getting my revenge on these people who I don't even fucking know. I just couldn't do it. It was just, I don't know. Me and revenge plots are really hit or miss, and this was a very big miss, and I was very sad because I loved the cover and the Fairy Loot edition, but I hated it. I didn't like it. I struggled to get through it. I didn't like it. It was a 2 stars, and I am sad because it was another Fairy Loot, but it was another worse/disappointing book. The next one is more of a disappointment, because I was so looking forward to it based on, like, the premise of the book, the inspiration of the book, and, like, I was just so excited. It's Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I was so excited because it was written by a Korean author about a Gumiho, which is the Korean nine-tailed fox mythology, and I was so excited. I love reading that kind of stuff, especially nine-tailed foxes. I love that concept, and I was so excited going into the book because I just wanted a good Asian story about a nine-tailed fox, and it was okay in the beginning. I was fine with it, and at some point I started to get really annoyed with the characters, again, the motivations, the lack of communication was annoying, and I also just think that the events were kind of convenient at times, and again, it was a matter of woe is me. I could never have a relationship with anybody, like, I don't want to get close to anybody, which is okay, I get it, but it was just it just got annoying for me, and I think that it fell flat a lot in certain aspects of the mythology and where it was going. I enjoyed the descriptions of, like, places and food and certain aspects of the culture, but I didn't enjoy the characters. The romance was kind of ridiculous. I got really annoyed with the main character and the way they were acting at certain points and everything. It was not a fun time. I think I read it during the Magical Readathon vlog, so if you really want to hear all of my thoughts on it, I'm pretty sure I talk about it in that, but I didn't have a good time. It was very disappointing. It started out okay, and then it really lost me at the halfway point, because I was so done with the characters. I couldn't care less where that story went. I couldn't stand the mom. I couldn't stand anyone, and I just think that certain things were very convenient. Certain things were easily looked past, even though I'm like, these are glaring red flags, but it just wasn't what I was expecting, and it didn't work for me. I'm glad if it does work for other people. I will not be reading the companion second book. I don't think it's with those same main characters. I think it's like a side in the perspective of a side character, but it wasn't for me. I did enjoy the culture aspects and the food and all that, because, you know, that's still enjoyable to me, but I didn't like the story in and of itself, which is sad. So I was very disappointed. It got 3 stars, which is not bad, but I was very disappointed. I thought it was going to get a higher rating because I was really looking forward to reading that book, but it just didn't work out. And, you know, it happens, but if I still think it's great if people enjoy that book. It definitely is probably a me problem, not a book problem. So it was disappointing. And the last book on this list is another fairy loot book, unfortunately. But this one I kind of went in thinking that I wasn't really going to enjoy it, but I wanted to still read it and try it. And that is Fable by Adrian Young. I already don't care about pirate stories. That's just not, I just am not really big on it. But I actually hated this book. I hated reading it. I didn't like the voice of the character. I didn't like it. I think that it was just so it just made me really annoyed reading in this character's perspective. She was so whiny and annoying, and just certain things that happened in the story were 1, convenient, 2, annoying, 3, for what? I couldn't even tell you everything that happened in this book because it was just unmemorable and just pointless. Like, in the end was unsatisfying. I'm happy if you enjoy it, that's great, but I personally did not enjoy it. I didn't like the pirate aspect. I don't even know how to describe why I didn't like it. I just know deep within my soul that I did not have a good time. I skimmed certain parts because I was like, I don't really care. The fact that, like, this girl would still wanted to be a part of her dad's life after what he did, I'm like, I get it to a point, but at the same time, I'm like, and can you explain this to me? Like, why wouldn't you just want to make your own life at that point if you're able to? But it's neither here nor there, but certain things were just really obvious. It just was not for me. It just got a little convoluted, in my opinion. I didn't like the characters at all. They really fell flat for me. I didn't understand the appeal of this main character. I didn't understand why people were enjoying her, and I didn't understand the romance. Like, it came out of nowhere. It didn't make any sense. It was like you were telling me that they were into each other, but I didn't see it. But this is neither here nor there at this point. But I didn't like it. It was 2 stars as well. It was not, it just wasn't for me. But, you know, maybe that's it. I know it's my fault because I knew I didn't like pirate books, so. But it still was not a good book to me. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I know I didn't really say too much because these were books that I read, like, middle of last year, 2022. It's been a bit, but I know I didn't like them, so I just wanted to tell you as best as I could, as vague as I did, that I didn't like these books, and they were the worst and disappointing. But those are the books that really belong on this list. I don't think I missed any. If I did, they didn't matter then. But they just were not great books for me. If you enjoy them, great. I'm happy for you. I still want people to enjoy these books. There's nothing inherently wrong with them. You can enjoy what you want. I just personally did not. And it's not like an attack on you if I didn't. We might have different tastes. What you like, I might not like. What I like, you might not like. It's, we're all good. It's not saying that you have bad tastes. It's not saying that there's anything wrong with you. I just didn't like them. I'm happy for you if you did, and I think that's great. There's no problems here for me. So, no need to get upset if these are your favorite books. They just weren't for me. And now we're going to go into my DNFs of 2022. Like I said in the beginning, not all of them are concrete, like definite, never going to pick them up ever again, hated them kind of books. Some of them are books that I just didn't feel like finishing or didn't have time to finish and was like, I'm not really that bothered to pick it back up right now. So these are just DNFs. I'll let you know which is which, because some of them I will never fucking touch ever again with a 10-foot pole. So, let's get into it. First one, right off the bat, Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. Never gonna touch that one. I already spoiled myself for the ending. And Hewwooo, would I have been pissed off if I put myself through that hell to finish that book off? I hated that series, was not good, didn't like the characters. Mal is, bad, gross, horrible, don't like it. Alina was annoying, whiny, and just couldn't stand being in her perspective. The Darkling, couldn't care less. It was just copy and paste for 3 books, and then for the ending to be that, wow. I just don't see the point. Again, if you enjoy these books, good for you. I'm happy for you. I didn't, and this is my take on it. It's my opinion. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. This is how I feel about it, and I hated it. I didn't finish it. I DNF'd it at page 55 because that's how bad it was. And I know I'm not the only one who DNF'd it. Like, I'm not the only one who does not like this series, but oh my god, I didn't enjoy that, and I wasn't gonna put myself through it. So the first one, Ruin and Rising, never gonna touch it again. Not for me. I'm never gonna read King of Scars or Rule of Wolves. Don't really care. I mean, I do enjoy Nikolai as a character, but it's just not enough for me to continue. Not enough. I might pick up Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom at some point, but it's not going to be soon. Next was Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. I had this plan of reading all of the Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, all the books in that world, but I failed. And I bought all the books for nothing. I have now since told my mom she can have them because she enjoyed the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices. But I read the first 3 Mortal Instrument books because I wanted to do them in this specific order. So I read the first 3. I didn't have a bad time the second time around reading them. They're not the best, but they're not the worst, but it was fine. But then I went on to the Infernal Devices. I read the first one, did not like it. I guess I'm just in the minority of people who do not like the Infernal Devices. So a lot of people will say it's the best compared to the original Mortal Instruments. I didn't like it. I don't like Tess, whatever the fuck her name is. I didn't like, what's his name? Will. The only person worth reading about in that book was Jem, and that's it. And I just hated it. It was not a good time. I couldn't stand Tess. Tessa? Is her name Tess or Tessa? Tessa, I'll just call her Tessa. I didn't like her. I didn't like her perspective. I didn't like the voice. I didn't like her attitude. I didn't like her reasoning for certain things and the way she put her brother on a pedestal, and then, like, her brother could get away with whatever the fuck she wanted, but, like, it was so annoying. I just couldn't with her. And then the relationship between her and Will was not good. I didn't like it. It was just a Clary and Jace 2.0, and I was not having it. I couldn't get through Clockwork Prince. I DNF'd it. I'm probably never going to touch it again. My mom can enjoy all of the books. I want nothing to do with it. I'm happy for all those people who are so into, like, Cassandra Clare. Good for you. I didn't have a good time with the Infernal Devices, and I kind of just gave up on wanting to read them. I gave up wanting to read that world. So I pretty much DNF'd that series. So, A Clockwork Prince, DNF. Next was a fairy loot book, Incendiary. There's nothing wrong with the book. It's not that I was hating it. I just wasn't interested. I just found myself not wanting to read it. I just wasn't in the mood. I kind of was confused on what was going on. Like, I didn't understand. I only got like 76 pages in, and I was just like kind of not into it anymore. I don't think I'll ever read it. I don't have it with me. It's not bad by any means. It just wasn't for me. It it didn't catch my attention. So that's pretty much that on that book. Incendiary, it just didn't work out with me. Oh, next is A Royal Wedding by Meg Cabot, which is like the, how to explain it? So there's the Princess Diaries, which are the YA books, and then she came out with one, which is like a few years later, when Mia is older and out of college, I believe, and she's about to get married. So I started reading because I finished the Princess Diaries, so I wanted to go on to that one, and I started it, and I was kind of like, okay, this is fine, but I was just I was reading it, and I was like, I really don't care, it's not that big a deal. I kind of just didn't feel like finishing it, so my hold from the library, my hold elapsed, and it went back to the library, and I was like, you know what, I don't care, I don't need to finish it. I already knew what happened at the end because I spoiled myself, so I was like, and there was like a death, like it's not on page that you see it, it's just talked about, like it's just talked about, and I'm like, this was just to further this relationship happening between these two people in this book. And I was kind of not about it. It was very off for me. And I was like, you know what? Rest in peace. You were done dirty in this book. But this, I'm not going to go into because I don't want to spoil it. So no spoilers. But it was fine. I just didn't feel like finishing it. So, Royal Wedding by Meg Cabot. Okay, so I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or something, but I didn't finish The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. So, it is a romance book where the main character is dumped by her fiance on the day of the wedding, and it comes out that the brother had said something the night before that made him decide to not go through with the wedding, and then she hates them. Understandable. I just kind of was getting annoyed with the way that she was acting towards that brother without having all of the details. Like, I understood where she was coming from, and I felt for her, and I could understand the anger that she might have been feeling, but I just thought, like, sometimes it was a little off. Like, I didn't agree with certain things that she was doing, and I think it was just too much when her anger should really have been mostly towards the man that she was engaged to. But it seemed like the brother got the brunt of it because he was the one that somehow said something that he doesn't even remember. Which, okay, fair enough, but again, I just think that it was too much at times, like her anger towards him, when it doesn't sound like her relationship with the fiance was that good to begin with. I still enjoy the main character for the most part, but I just sometimes was getting annoyed by how she would treat the brother of her ex-fiance. And, like, I was just getting kind of annoyed with the story, so when my hold from the library, my library copy got sent back, I was like, you know what, I'm not that fussed to continue right now. It's not a permanent DNF. I will eventually go back to it. I just need time, because it's not a bad book in and of itself, or anything wrong with it. I just was getting annoyed with the characters. So, I will probably go back to it one day, and I can see why people enjoy it. I just was not vibing with the way that she was handling certain things at certain points with the brother. But, yeah, so it's not me saying this book is bad and I'm never going to touch it. It's just that I don't think that I will be picking it up anytime soon, but one of these times I might. But it's not a hard DNF by any means. I didn't think it was horrible or anything, so Worst Best Man is still a book that I might pick up and finish down the line. So another DNF was Obsidio by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I was doing a reread before I left for Thailand of the Illuminae files. I had read Illuminae a while back, and it was a fun time. It was interesting. It was a different format than I had ever read. And I did have Gemina in Obsidio. I did read Gemina. It was not as good, and I didn't really enjoy the characters. But then it got to Obsidio, and I was done with the whole thing. I just think it was the same story. The characters were just as annoying, and I just didn't care. I just kind of skipped to the end. I wasn't really that fussed, and it was not a satisfying ending anyway, so I'm just glad I didn't waste my time. And I needed to finish it before I left because I wasn't taking it with me, and it was literally the day before I was leaving for Thailand, so I needed to get it done. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this anyways, so I might as well just DNF it and just skip to the end and see what happens. So that's what I did. The first book I think was great in it of itself because it was something new, but then Gemina was kind of just like a copy and paste, different character name, different place, change up a few aspects of the characters, and just say it's a new book. And then the third book was pretty much just that, but then switch a little bit more. But it was what it was. I got the gist of it. It was fine. Wasn't an ending worth putting myself through that whole book. I was listening to it on audio while reading it physically, which was cool. But it just wasn't worth me finishing. So I DNF'd Obsidio. And the last DNF I have down that I'm pretty sure I DNF'd is Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. It was a Fairy Loot book from my adult box. That was the October one. It was like the dystopia box. And when I got it in my short, I said I was excited. But at the same time, I wasn't. Because, one, Veronica Roth is just not the author for me. I did read Divergent and tried to read Insurgent, and that just didn't work out. And then the whole Carve the Mark thing, it didn't matter. I wasn't gonna ever read that book anyways. So, but I wasn't interested. I'm not really much of a dystopian person. It really has to be like, it's really hit or miss. And I didn't really vibe with it. I didn't care. I was trying to read it. I got like 32 pages in, and I was like, I don't really care. I don't know where this is going. I could see where the romance was gonna be, and I'm like, this is so weird. And what's the point? It didn't work for me. It just wasn't for me. I don't even know what to tell you about it, because I just wanted to try to read it, even though I knew I probably wasn't gonna like it, but I was right, which is why I DNF'd it pretty quick, because I just wasn't about it. It just wasn't for me. And that's fine. But those are all of my DNFs, all of my worst and disappointing books of 2022. I know it was a bit long. I didn't feel like making a separate video for each of them. I'm sorry if I didn't have a lot of specific things to say, because one, I didn't want to spoil anything. Two, I have read these so long ago that I don't really remember like specifics. So I wanted to at least give my general thoughts from what I can remember feeling at the time. I will try to get better at that, but it was just an interesting time. But I hope you enjoy the video anyways. And again, if you enjoy these books, it's not an attack on you. I just have a differing opinion, and that's fine. You can enjoy them. I'm happy for you. I am glad people enjoy the books that I don't, because I want authors to have people who enjoy their books. Just because I don't doesn't mean I want no one to ever touch them. And it's not an attack. It's not saying that you have horrible reading tastes or whatever. It just wasn't for me, and that's fine. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. It's just my opinion, and I hope that you enjoy the video anyways, even if these are your favorite books. They just weren't for me. But I hope you enjoy the video. If you do enjoy my videos, please feel free to give a like and subscribe. I would love to have you here. It really makes my day. I hope to have more videos come out more often, but again, I don't know what life is gonna throw at me, and I have like classes and stuff and everything like that, and sometimes inspiration doesn't come a knocking, but I'm gonna try my best to have more videos out, so look forward to that, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.